Stop for a moment and listen carefully, because the story you're about to hear is one of the most unexpected, surprising, and twist-filled accounts in the entire Bible. A story where kings plot in secret, a prophet wrestles between greed and obedience, and a simple donkey becomes the very mouthpiece of God. If you think you've heard it all, stay until the end, because every detail of this narrative has something powerful to speak directly to your heart today. It all begins in a moment of high tension. The people of Israel, led by Moses, had just won decisive battles and were advancing through the desert toward the Promised Land. Their victories were spreading fear throughout the region. One of the terrified nations was Moab, ruled by a shrewd and calculating king named Balak. Watching from a distance as the vast crowds of Israel camped near his territory, Balak's heart filled with dread. If they keep moving forward, they will destroy us. Balak knew he couldn't defeat them through military power, so he turned to the supernatural. His plan: to find someone with access to the spiritual realm who could place a curse on Israel. That's when he heard about a foreign prophet whose words carried great weight: Balaam, a man with a reputation that whatever he blessed was blessed, and whatever he cursed was cursed. Balak wasted no time. He sent messengers bearing lavish gifts, gold, silver, and promises of honor. When they arrived at Balaam's house, they presented the tempting offer: King Balak is calling you to curse Israel, because we know that those you curse are cursed. Balaam listened, feeling the weight of the promised wealth, but he knew he couldn't act on his own. He asked them to stay the night so he could seek God's guidance. God's response was clear and firm: do not go with them. Do not curse these people, for they are blessed. Israel had been sealed by God's blessing, and no human word could undo it. Balaam relayed the message: go back, for the Lord does not permit me to go. The messengers returned to Balak with this refusal, but the king wouldn't give up. Determined, Balak sent even more prestigious officials with even greater offers. They pleaded, let nothing stop you from coming. The king will reward you richly if you curse this people. This time, Balaam felt the full weight of temptation. He replied, even if Balak gave me his palace filled with silver and gold, I could do nothing beyond the will of God. But stay the night, and I will ask the Lord again. Seeing Balaam's wavering heart, God gave an enigmatic response: go with them, but only do what I tell you. Balaam rose early, excited at the thought of the riches he might gain. He saddled his donkey and set out, but his heart was divided, partly seeking to obey, partly driven by greed, and God saw this. On the road, something extraordinary happened. The angel of the Lord stood in Balaam's path to stop him, though Balaam couldn't see him. The donkey, however, did. Sensing the divine presence, the animal veered off the road. Balaam, blind to the supernatural, grew angry and beat the donkey to force her forward. 3 times the donkey saw the angel and tried to protect Balaam, and 3 times he struck her violently. Then came the shocking twist. God opened the donkey's mouth and she spoke with a clear voice: why are you beating me? Am I not your faithful donkey who has always carried you without disobedience? Balaam, startled but still furious, answered as though this were ordinary: you've made a fool of me. If I had a sword, I'd kill you. At that moment, God opened Balaam's eyes. He saw the angel of the Lord standing with a drawn sword, ready to strike him down. The angel said, I came to stop you because your path is reckless before me. If not for the donkey, I would have killed you and spared her. Trembling, Balaam fell face down and confessed, I have sinned. I did not know you were standing in my way. The angel allowed Balaam to continue, but warned that he must only speak the words God placed in his mouth. Humbled and fearful, Balaam continued his journey, fully aware that he was merely a vessel for God's message. When he finally met Balak, who was brimming with anticipation, Balaam knew the outcome was not his to control. Balak led Balaam to a high place overlooking part of the Israelite camp. Expecting curses, the king was stunned when Balaam opened his mouth and spoke blessings instead. How can I curse those whom God has not cursed? How can I condemn those the Lord has not condemned? To Balak's fury, Israel was declared blessed. Balak tried again and again, taking Balaam to different vantage points, hoping the curse might work elsewhere. But each time, God placed words of blessing in Balaam's mouth. God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should change his mind. What he has promised, he will fulfill. With each failed attempt, the prophecies grew even clearer. Balaam even foretold the coming of a future ruler. A star will rise out of Jacob, a messianic prophecy pointing to a king who would defeat Israel's enemies and establish an everlasting kingdom. Every word was a reminder that no human power, magic, or wealth could overthrow God's will. In the end, Balak, frustrated and furious, dismissed Balaam without reward. And the prophet, who had begun his journey enticed by greed, returned home having experienced the irresistible force of God's word. This story isn't just about a fearful king, a greedy prophet, and a talking donkey. It's about the sovereignty of God, who turns curses into blessings, humbles the mighty through the lowly, and even speaks through the most unexpected means to protect his people. Now you must ask yourself, how many times has God tried to stop you from going down a dangerous path? How often has he spoken to you, perhaps in unexpected ways, only for you to push ahead anyway? Balaam learned, through shock and humiliation, that no amount of gold is worth more than obeying God's voice. That same lesson echoes to you today. The question is, will you wait for a donkey to speak before you finally listen to God's call? The story ends, but the warning remains. God still blesses those he has chosen and thwarts the plans of anyone who tries to stand against his purpose. When everything seems to be against you, remember this: no curse can touch those whom God has decided to protect. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe for more powerful Bible stories that reveal the wisdom and power of God in every detail.